we can go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Call to order at 3:33 p.m.
Chair Schellenberger,
Here?
Vice Chair Hamburg,
Here.
Member Beard,
Present.
Member Brents,
Here.
Member Grenier,
Here.
Member Jensen,
Here.
Member Martino.
Here.
All present. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So we have to approve the order of agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Bennett. Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oppositions? Yep.
One abstain.
Abstain.
Oh.
Motion passes 6-1.
Now we,
6 yes, 1 abstain.
one abstain,
Next is public communications, and items not on the agenda.
yeah. Any public comments?
We have one person in the audience, and looks like some people online. If anybody online would like to make a comment on items not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Looks like there's no public comment.
No public comments. All right. We move on to the next. Approve minutes from the last Tourism Advisory Committee of February 3rd.
I have one, right above number 6, the THC concurred to recommend the city council move forward with sales tax increase, TOT increase, and formation of BID. I was under the impression that we were going to, they weren't gonna go forward with it, but to study it and check it out. This implies that go forward with all 3 of them. I thought that was that how we sent that off?
I felt it was more to explore,
Yeah, to
research.
explore it, other
That's
than,
what I thought too.
yeah,
That's a good catch, man.
that's the only thing I saw on,
But I didn't think we were gonna proceed with the BID. I thought
Well-
it was just sales tax and,
well, I thought we said
Sounds good.
to explore it all, and I was gonna say it the other night at the council meeting that, but I thought I'd wait. I wasn't sure if I should have said that then or not. That I was under the impression, but I guess we needed to straighten it out here before we bring it to the council, right, saying that?
We can definitely modify the minutes to say instead of move forward, explore.
Should I have said something that, at the council meeting that night? I thought about it, then I said no, because I wasn't sure if everybody agreed. I wasn't sure how to handle that.
But you definitely, I mean, you provided your public comment from your own perspective, but we'll make sure that the city council is aware of the
Okay,
corrections in the minutes.
that's all I had.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
and I'll second
All in favor?
it.
Aye?
Any opposed?
I just abstained, I wasn't
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Max. All right, so we move on to regular business. Do you want me to go read through it, or?
We can read the items. So the first item on the regular business agenda is to receive marketing services monthly update from the consultant, Company Marvel. Also, some people might know as IDK, including proposed program for the Lego event to take place in the spring of 2022. The event was proposed by the consultant and selected by the TEC at the last regular meeting, and we have representatives of Company Marvel here with us in person and on Zoom.
Hello, committee members, thanks for having me, and city manager, I appreciate it. I can share, I know that the 2 reports are in the packet this time, so I can share my screen if appropriate. Can you share with me the meeting ID?
Yes.
And in the meantime, I'll let the conference monitor, I'll let my team on Zoom introduce themselves quickly.
Hi everyone, I'm Madhur, Account Director at Solvang Marble. Nice to see everyone.
Sorry, who was that?
Madhur, our account director. Cool. And Madhur, is there anybody else on the line with us today from our team?
Yes, Jamie, why don't you go?
Yeah, Jamie from the social team.
Leanna, part 2 of the social team.
Perfect. All right, and Anna, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Anna Ferguson Sparks, whichever one you choose. And you pretty much all know me on the PR side.
Perfect. And then, of course, I see my husband Jacob, who is our producer, event producer online with us. All right, great. So I'm going to go ahead and share the 2 reports, or actually, let's start with social media. Do you want to just very quickly take us through the social media report for the last 30 days, either Jamie or Leanna?
Yes, I will take you through it. So, do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Or,
Yes,
okay.
please. For anybody watching online or on TV.
All right. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, so social media report, February 2022. This is showing you our impressions, reach, Instagram followers, new followers gained this month, and then same for Facebook, total reach, engagement, total likes, and audience growth. So we had 203,000 impressions. We gained 587 followers. We are now at 28,188 followers. On Instagram, on Facebook, we have 30,280 total likes. And here's our reach number and engagement. We gained 64 followers on Facebook that month.
Can I ask?
Yep. Why that matters?
No. What's the difference between impression and reach?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So, Leanna, go ahead, or Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, so impressions is the number of times people are seeing this, our posts. Reach is just once it's out there. So impressions is if one person can see it multiple times. Reach is just saying that it's gone to this many people.
Yeah.
So reach is unique visitors.
Yeah. So the reach is a better metric, because reach basically says that, hey, on this this point of view, you're in line to get a deal. We've reached 16,000 people on that one post. So that means 16,000 unique people saw it, but a few of those people may have seen it a couple times or gone back to it. What we see a lot, especially on our Instagram channels, is folks will find a post they really like and they'll save it and share it with other folks in their circle. So then every time they open Instagram to talk about it, that counts as an impression, but it's not, I mean, you can have hundreds of thousands of impressions and only 2 people that are just like constantly opening it. So the 2 metrics taken together are the better deal, but we like reach, obviously.
Yeah, as you can see, impressions are almost double the amount of reach, so people are going back to look.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are our top performing posts in February. The top performing posts on both Instagram and Facebook is of a pastry case at Danish Mill Bakery. We reached over 13,000 people here, almost 1.5 thousand likes and reactions. So this post performed really, really well. And you can see the difference between the reach in this post to the next post here at 10.7 thousand.
So in that POV, you're in line to order, that's a picture you guys took and posted, okay?
Correct, yep. Yeah, and sometimes we find, so a lot of these are our own. We have a shared Apple deal. So like as I'm walking around just as a tourist, I'll snap photos. Sue and her family put photos in there all the time. Our team is in town a lot and they take it. But we also have what's referred to as UGC or user generated content. So we'll look at people who are tagging Solvang and we'll repost their photo and then give them a photo credit for it, which then increases reach kind of organically because then they're all excited that a big brand like us is like featuring their photo, so then they go and tell all their friends about it. It's a big Ponzi scheme, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Yes. So the pastry case photo performed really well. Next was a photo of greenery and a bridge at Wine Valley Inn, then the windmill, and then we had a couple videos that helped our reach as well and engagement here. One was about the Danish dancers that are here every third Saturday. Then another one is just a general video of Solvang.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say there is we're not actively reporting on our TikTok growth because the audience skews a little younger. So it's something, it's a tool that we've sort of ignored, not ignored is too strong a word, but it's a tool that we haven't fully embraced because the audience skews a little bit younger. However, as that audience is creeping up, I, at 40 years old, now have a TikTok. Stuff My Mother Said is my TikTok handle, and it's videos of stuff my mother says that I think are funny. But as that is starting to creep up, we are posting a lot of content to Twitter, and to TikTok. And the way TikTok works is there's a lot of engagement where there will be like a TikTok dance. I mean, this sounds so ridiculous, but I promise you, like, your consumers love this. So there's like a dance craze that all the TikTokers will start doing, and so they all start doing it using the same song. So our very young social media team has started sort of jumping on that bandwagon. So we'll take some of the TikTok content and go ahead and post it on our Instagram, and we're actually seeing that content perform relatively well, shockingly well, because I told the social team it was a waste of time, but I may have to eat my words here in another couple of months.
So there's Solvang has a TikTok.
Yep. What's our TikTok, Jamie?
It's the same as our Instagram account.
Solvang USA. Yep. So we have a TikTok. So anyway, again, it's a tool that we don't report on because I'm still sort of, with our strategists, we're still trying to decide whether it's something that we really want to fully embrace. But as a platform, it seems to be, like, standalone TikTok seems to be doing okay for us with that younger demo. But there's some of our content that we've created for TikTok is actually making the transition over to Instagram rather successfully, more successfully than I anticipated that it would. No offense to you and Leanna that told me all of this 6 months ago and I said you were crazy. Continue on, I think there's only one more page on social.
Okay. Yes, so final page is just showing comparisons with other local tourism boards. So over here, let's see, there we go. We have our account, and we're comparing with Visit Santa Barbara, Pismo Beach, Visit Cambria, Paso, Wine, Visit SYV, and Santa Barbara Wine Country. So here you can see follower growth in the last 30 days. And the accounts that have an asterisk next to it are the ones that are also running paid social media ads. As you can see, us and Paso Wine are the only ones who are not. So being that we're number 3 in the top top growth, it's pretty good. Visit Santa Barbara is running 50 social ads, I counted. So follower growth, we're doing really good in this industry here. Engagement rate, we are number 2 behind Pismo Beach.
Yeah.
And average industry is around 1% engagement rate, so.
Yeah, and the reason that's important is, like, as a metric, if I stood up here and constantly said, hey, when we started in June of 2020, you had 5,000 followers, and now you have whatever the metric was, at 30,000 or 20-something thousand? Jamie, what was the follower count on Insta?
I'm sorry.
What's our current follower count on Instagram?
About 29,000.
Okay, so yeah, so the account had 5,000 in May of 2020, and it's got 29,000 today. If I tell you that in a standalone world, that doesn't mean anything, right? So that's why we report on the growth and the engagement rate, because having 30,000 followers that don't care about the content you're posting does us no good. So the fact that these folks are constantly engaging with the content that we're posting, and if you ever go and look, you'll see people who are like, you know, tag their mother and be like, hey, this looks really cool, can we plan a trip next weekend? Or, hey, this is really neat, what hotel should I do? Or they'll DM us, which we have the social accounts integrated with the customer service team at the visitor center. So they'll DM and ask questions specifically about where they can go to book hotels or what they should do when they come. Or do you have an itinerary that you would suggest for our dogs? Which if you remember, a year ago, we built these itineraries. And so really that's the reason that we show you these numbers, because we think they're really, really important to show you the entire story. So it's not just growing follower counts is one metric, but for a destination, it doesn't really, a bunch of followers that don't care about what you're telling them, it doesn't do you a lot of good. So having a consistently high engagement rate, especially relative to those who are running paid ads, I think is really important. And personally, I don't really think that for us, we need to be running paid ads today, because I think it comes across as inauthentic and it actually hurts the brand. So for us, the strategy that we use is we go after user-generated content. So let's retell the story that people are already telling when they're here. So, you know, Alex, if you forgive me for using you as an example, but if you're out and about with your friends and you're taking pictures of folks in front of a windmill, or you're taking pictures in a bakery, you're telling all of your friends that story better than I could inauthentically tell our story. So it's better for me to grab your content, give you a social credit, and then push it out to our 30,000 followers. You with maybe 2,000 followers, I don't actually know, I'm just guessing, but maybe you have 100,000, I don't know. But you with maybe fewer followers, all of a sudden are very excited because a big account has shared you, and then it just creates this organic growth that we don't need to pay for. So while I understand why Visit Santa Barbara, Pismo, Cambria, and VSYV and Santa Barbara, why they're all running paid ads, at this stage, with the continued growth that we've seen over the last 2 years, I don't feel like it's a good place to spend money today. That may change if we start to see the engagement rate or growth slow down from organic, then we can start supplementing that with paid. But today, it doesn't make sense to spend money in this space. Your dollars are better spent elsewhere.
Scott, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
That 28,000 followers, can you tell us something about them? Like, where are they all in Santa Barbara County, Ventura? Do you have demographical information on who these people are?
Yeah, totally. Jamie, do you want to go ahead and share that?
Yeah, I can give some insight. So let's see, I'll do the previous, last 90 days.
And if this is a type of report that you want moving forward, I'm happy to include that in the packet too. We actually have a dashboard that I think we've shared with Zena, maybe we haven't, but we have a dashboard. You can log in real time and pull these reports. I'm happy to share it with the chair or create an account. You know, I don't know if that violates anything, but I'm happy to create an account for the TAC to be able to view in real time if that's appropriate.
Yeah, no, would be very
That would be
interesting.
very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I will work with the city manager in our next meeting to find a method to share that with you.
But the month before, you had some statistics?
Oh yeah, sorry,
From
go ahead.
Mark.
Go ahead. I interrupted you, Jamie.
Oh, sure, okay. So demographics, our top locations at the moment, cities, Los Angeles, 10.6%, and then it's San Diego at 2%, then Long Beach, Solvang, and Santa Barbara. And then if you're looking for age range, the most there is 45 to 54, and then the next is 35 to 44. Let's see, on Facebook, it's still LA, Bakersfield, San Jose, Santa Clarita, Long Beach, San Diego.
Great. Not Orange County, huh? Wasn't Orange County in there, was there?
All right, great. Any other questions on the social media report for this month, for the last 30 days? And one thing I realize is that I sort of, you know, I sort of come and share these numbers, and I know everybody's eyes sort of glaze over, and so I apologize for that. If there's something better we should be sharing, I'm happy to work through the city manager to prepare something better. I think giving you access to the tool that we use to pull these reports in real time is you know, assuming it's acceptable, I'm happy to do it. But, you know, I wanna make sure that whatever reporting we're giving you is what you need. And so, you know, if there's some other version of this, just feel free to ask. I also realize we don't ever spend a lot of time like just having a dialogue about why we think some of these metrics are important. So if I'm over explaining it and stuff you already know, just tell me to be quiet. I'm fine with that too. All right, great. Moving on with everybody, Chairwoman, it's okay for us? Okay, great. So moving on to public relations. Anna, do you want to walk us through some of the PR highlights? You're on mute, sorry.
I can try. This computer's not good with sharing screens, so I'm not sure if it will let me. But I will try. Did that work?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we will keep this short and sweet. So this is February 2022 only. So basically, this first slide, one of the pieces of software that I use to kind of track media coverage, if I just go into the keywords and I type between February 1st and February 28th, I think this was actually the 27th that I compiled this, and I just type in Solvang or Solvang City or something like that, it will spit back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of information that I then have to go sift through, and a lot of that obviously won't have anything to do with us. It'll be a Solvang mention in Europe somewhere or something that has nothing to do with our Solvang. So then from that, I pull these bullets out, which is really just kind of what I see over and over showing up in all of those search results. So this is in no particular order, but kind of what we were seeing in headlines, anything to do with Sol Relative. In the month of February, obviously Danish Day is coming back, people were reporting on that regionally. Then Solvang mentions, meaning just that like the term Solvang showed up as mentioned when the press release about Garage East came out. So there was a lot of Garage East coverage. There were Solvang mentions again in the Napa County Women Winemaker Celebration event coverage, which is this Sunday, even though that's not in Solvang, there's Solvang parties involved. And a couple of pieces from the Alisol, obviously driven by the Alisol's PR team. And then we had the big news pieces that went into Los Angeles Times for Iris Rideau. And out of that came San Ynez Valley travel pieces, and that was actually all coverage that originated last summer when the particular writer from the LA Times came up and visited with her. So that was really just Iris Rideau doing us all a favor by giving this particular writer her personal preferences and things that she'd like to do in the area. Solvang Chamber of Commerce, your time capsule story, that was definitely something that was repeated within the news clips. And then Peasants Deli, their grand opening the end of January. A lot of the press came after their January grand openings, so that was something that regionally we saw a lot of coverage on. Everybody likes good news and openings. So the next slide. So these are just some pieces that we have kind of in works right now. As I mentioned, the past couple of months, things have been slower on the editorial visit side because people obviously through the search were not traveling, and I'm not going to push people to visit when they're not comfortable traveling. So we have this fabulous Danish journalist who lives in LA now, who is very hungry for content and for articles, and she's been great. So she did place a piece already about Thomas and about the Burke poems, and that is something I think she said will be coming out in March, and that is in, I'm not going to pronounce it because I can't, but it's in a weekly publication, kind of like something that would be kind of like People for us here in the States. So that will be coming out. That's obviously a giant circulation. And then another weekly publication geared, kind of like Wednesday, geared more for women. She is running a story also in March that I should have hard copies of soon, and that is on Greta Anderson, who is still a Solvang resident, and she was a former Danish Olympian. The Hollywood Reporter, we have Alicia, who has done us lots of favors. She included us over Yule Fest in her Good Day LA on-air coverage, but she also writes for the Hollywood Reporter, and she does these travel roundup pieces quite a bit. And so some of our Solvang locations and businesses will be included again in her roundups. And the great thing about the Hollywood Reporter is that it carries with it a really large estimated publicity value, because ads in the Reporter are just like a one-page ad or something like $30,000 per page. And that's a very obviously powerful audience, because the entertainment industry in LA, so we love anytime she mentions anything about Solvang. And then last week I had a writer up here who also just on spec, she's a freelance writer and she writes for lots of different outlets, most of them LA based. And she was doing something specifically culinary focused, and she only did the trip because she's trying to put together a piece that will be about the fact that you can do a day trip this way. So she was mainly just focusing on restaurants, and she visited 4 different restaurants in one day, and 2 of them were here in Solvang. Okay, the next one. So out of the event that we did have, if you can call it, that we did have in February were the Solvang Sweetheart Tours. They put together for Valentine's Day weekend. So this is just 2 LA pickups of those tours right before the weekend, which is just, again, it's our LA audience, that's what we wanted. Another one, this was Napa Valley Life. So this went to print in December in the print version of Napa Valley Life magazine. It's an all-encompassing San Andres Valley travel piece. There were a lot of focuses on Solvang in this. And this writer has done a lot. She's done multiple articles from 1 or 2 trips that she's taken over the past couple of years, during the pandemic actually. So this is the online version of the article that didn't publish when this went to print. It came afterwards, so it just finally went online in February, which then obviously is easier for us to share. And then this was a really big article. This was from my working with the PR team for Highway West, so that's the Winston property and the Vinland. And a writer had reached out to them asking about possibilities of our ideas or things that we can do to kind of focus on fairy tale-ness of Solvang. And this was in like November, December that she reached out for this article, which finally went to print in the magazine and online in the past month or so. And we were lucky enough that she was also looking for parents who had physically been here that we knew of, who would be willing to contribute quotes to this particular article. So I reached out to the woman and her family who we had as our family friendly itinerary people influencer last year, or the year before. I guess it was more than a year ago now. And she provided a quote for this. So it was a great way to give her some publicity, because she has helped us big time. She'll comment still on our social media posts for Solvang. And it was just kind of an organic way to push the fairy tale and storybook language that we are using more and more in social posts and in our actual content and copywriting. So this was just like a home run with this piece that came out.
Yeah, and I think this is a. Oh God, that was my fault. I unmuted myself. Sorry. I'm so used to unmuting in Zoom meetings. I apologize. Sorry. So I think this is a great example of, we've talked extensively, and I'm happy to talk some more about the 55, almost 60-page strategy that we sort of started with back in March of 2020 and said, here is what we intend to do. We intend to tell the story of Solvang as it exists today, but we intend to tell sort of a slightly different version of the same story to this new audience, so that we're not alienating this audience while inviting this new one, right? And so that was the sort of high level umbrella of what we said we were going to do 2 years ago. And you could see that while we were focused on awareness and advocacy, which were of the 5 funnels that we indicated in that strategy document that we shared with everyone, even though we've been focused on awareness and advocacy, you can see how some of those seeds we planted a long time ago, like inviting this family to come and stay with us for 2 days and write about their travel and provide some high level imagery, you can see how that's now turning around and coming back to us almost 2 years later in the form of newspaper. We have now photos that we didn't have before. So we've built this asset library and sort of created this foundation and this framework that then allows us to move into conversion and advocacy, later on as the time comes to enter into those other funnels. So I think that was a really good example of where those early seeds are starting to sort of sprout nowadays. And then just in terms of how that PR report is laid out, I know you saw that front page. You know, we want to be super, the whole team, want to be super transparent. So that's why we try and separate out like things that are happening that are Solvang centric that we have nothing to do with versus, you know, the folks that we're inviting and strongly encouraging to come. So that's why you see those two separate pieces, which I think are really, really important to delineate so that there's no confusion around, you know, like Max has mentioned to me many, many times, people know about Solvang, so you're right. And there are some articles that are written that just will always be written about Solvang, and so we keep those separate from the ones that we directly influence. Any questions on PR? Cool. Moving away from digital advertising, I don't have a copy of it. I don't know if you have one there handy, but the only non-digital piece that we did for the past 30 days is we paid for a article in with Epic Times, which is that Mandarin language publication that I showed you folks that we did back in December. That performed fairly well for us. So we did an ad in their Mandarin's language Lunar New Year, which came out in February to correspond with the Lunar New Year. So that goes to high net worth individuals throughout Southern California within our drive markets, and it's Mandarin language. I assume, I've not asked somebody to translate it for me, but I assume that it says come to Solvang. But we sent over some copy and we sent over some imagery, and then they converted it into Mandarin for us. So that is the only non-digital traditional piece that we ran in the last 30 days. Questions on marketing for the last 30 days? Perfect. Looking ahead, I think it's still this agenda item, right? Yes, okay, looking ahead, when we were here last, we talked about that first quarter event. So we were, now that we're officially onboarded, thank you for your help with that. Our team has begun looking into sort of how we can bring that thing to life. We'd said that we needed 45 days from the day that you guys give us the go-ahead to do it. I would say that 15 of those days have already passed, in that we needed time to reach out to the Lego contenders and come up with a budget. So we are prepared to do this event within 30 days. And so I prepared a draft budget that I'd like to discuss with everyone to see what you think about it. I'm not of the opinion that just because we have 70,000, we should go spend 100% of it. I think we should try and spend as intelligently as possible. So to that end, we did put together the draft budget that we think will sort of move the needle and generate some excitement and buzz both on PR and digital, as well as invite folks to town. And so with that, I have included the budget, and I will just go over the high level. So in the pre-event side, I think this is a place that we would recommend digital ad spend because it's a specific event. So there's a specific call to action, like come on this weekend to do this thing at this time in this place, bless you. So I think this is, because it's more specific than come to Solvang, spend a night and you know, increase our tax base. Because it's more specific, I do think this is a place we should spend money. But as you all know, I hate spending money without knowing whether it worked or not. So I propose that we create a landing page with Squarespace so that we can direct all those call to actions to that landing page, so we can actually measure what happened. Like, you know, did people come just because they already were getting our other marketing and knew that everything was you know, that they needed to come, and that it's fairy tale and it's all the things that we've been selling for the last 2 years? Or are they coming specifically because they're super stoked about this Lego thing? So in order to create that metric for you, we think that we need a landing page to direct folks there so that we can measure that landing page and know the results. So if we see that the content had a reach, say, of 10,000 people like our other content, we don't know if that's 10,000 fresh new faces that are coming because of this $70,000 we're spending on Lego, or if they're coming because of the $70,000 we're spending over 6 months on social media. So I think it's really important to create a tool to measure that, so that's why both of those line items are there. I'm not sold is the wrong word. I'm not married to any of these numbers. This is a 100% open discussion. These are our professional recommendations, but everything is open to movement. Moving on to the site itself, assuming that Copenhagen is open, which I know is up for the council to decide whether it's open or closed. Assuming it's open, we do have a line item in here for posting no stopping and reclosing the street to accommodate this Lego event on the weekend that is chosen. Of course, if Copenhagen remains closed, then this line item is not necessary. For the competition itself, we would create 10 structures to kind of create some cover, not brown made out of wood with 4x4s. I learned my lesson. So we will create some Lego-centric structures. Again, once this budget's approved, we can share with you via email what we propose that they would look like for comment. But we would propose 10 sort of structures to make sure that these Lego elements are protected from people and sun and whatever, like if we need somebody to be able to stand back and see what we're doing. So we would create these almost booths. I hesitate to call them booths because that conjures like an ugly 10x10 pop-up from Costco, or it conjures what I built for the closing Copenhagen for 30 days, which are still out there. So I think that the best way to describe this is a well-designed structure that looks like a display case for the Lego that gives the person a place to build them. Then I think we need a stage and some basic AV for the award ceremony, and then of course signage, including a truss structure and banner, and then signage at each of the 10 locations to introduce who the Lego person that's doing the work is, as well as what it is. So if you just happen to find yourself in Solvang and you're wondering why there's Legos all over the place, we at least have a banner to explain that. On the competition side, we would host, of course, folks in the hotels. At cost, we estimated it at $250 based on the current ADR, but obviously we would pass that at cost. Stipend per, and by the way, all of this is out-of-house spend. None of this is in-house. So hotel cost per competitor for 2 nights, we estimated that. I estimated $500 stipend per competitor, and the reason for that is I want to encourage them to bring their family and friends, and I think if we give them $500 stipend, that money will be spent within our community, at the businesses, bakeries. It'll be spent here in Solvang, so it'll create economic impact. And because it's a stipend, a cash stipend, they'll be more encouraged to bring family and friends with them and generate economic activity beyond them just showing up, staying the night in a hotel and building a Lego set. The awards, I was very generous with the awards. I think this is another opportunity that we have to whittle down if we don't want to spend the entire budget, but I also want these things to be amazing, and I want there to be a really good reason for people to come out and watch it, and I want there to be an actual strong competition. In my experience, people work really, really hard for thousands of dollars, so I propose first place prize of $5,000, second place prize for $2,500, third place prize of $1,000. And then of course the cost of the Legos themselves, because it turns out these people don't travel with Legos. Who knew?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. That is the proposed budget, and then I will share with you if you want, actually you have it in the, just out of brevity, I shared some of the folks that we've reached out to with examples of some of the things that they've built in the past. All of them have massive digital media followings and massive, in some extent, massive PR followings. So again, as you've heard me say for 2 years, I love organic. I love growth that we don't necessarily have to pay for. So as you'll see, a lot of these folks have lots of Instagram followers, lots of Facebook followers, and most of them are coming from areas within our drive market so that they can encourage folks to come with them. So that is the update on the Lego thing, and again, this is not me dictating, this is 100% a discussion. I'm open to moving levers where necessary to pull this thing together.
So, have you talked to these, I mean, they normally get paid a stipend? I mean, they don't just get a big award, but they sort of get paid to come and do this?
Yeah,
more or
most
less?
of them get paid to come and do something, like they'll get paid to do it. There are a couple of pure award ceremonies, but they're sanctioned by Jacob. I don't know if you're still on. Jacob can tell me the name because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's like men who build Legos or adults who build Legos. I don't know. It's like a governing body of Lego competition. Who knew? There's an awful lot to get to become an accredited Lego like event. It's like tennis, you know. You have the Open, right?
Are we sanctioned then?
No, we wouldn't be a sanctioned event.
Okay.
So because of that, they're not getting points that then go to like the grand champion of Lego. I've been deep in Lego, folks. I've been deep in Lego land. Oh, that might be copyrighted. I've been deep in the Lego world. So I think, you know, I can walk away from the stipend. I'm not sold on it. I think the stipend could be lower too. I just want to encourage them to show up with more than just themselves. Because I think that it's a cool opportunity. I mean, I know if I were a Lego dude, I would want my mom and dad to come and cheer me on if I'm going for $5,000. I think it's a heck of a prize.
Yeah, that's a heck of a prize.
But I
was
could be
thinking of
talking-
taking all the stipend and put it into the prize and you make it bigger.
I'm
I
fine.
don't know, I guess, but
I'm
you
fine with that,
studied it,
too.
and so they do normally.
Yeah, they normally get
hotel rooms and-
a little something to come and do it. A lot of these folks do a lot of big corporate things, and then they go to the competitions for fun. So again, I'm trying to encourage them to show up and do something that they otherwise wouldn't do. But again, I can be talked out of that. I think that we will be equally successful without that spend. I just thought it'd be a fun way to like encourage spend within Solvang. And what's nice about that is we can, you know, similar to the nice family you saw on Anna's PR report. When they came, you know, we obviously gave them a little gift card that they used to go to all the restaurants that we put on the itinerary. And we now have content 2 years later that we can use. So we can put some limits around that too. We could say we must have, you know, 4 small videos. We must have, you know, a 10 professional photo. We could put some parameters around that stipend as well if you want, so that we then have content that we can use that goes into that content library. Yes, ma'am.
I would recommend that we do the stipend, but put it on a Visa card that's only to this zip code.
Yeah.
And they did that in Santa Maria on Tuesday, Wednesday overstay
Mm-hmm.
of $100 gift cards, and it was very successful. So I think if you're gonna give money away, don't give cash, give them a credit card that they can use anywhere for the whole weekend.
Yeah, and Anna, the credit cards that I've given you in the past, I think those were restricted by zip code, right? I can't remember, to be honest. I can look at that.
No, we have not done that.
Got it,
yet.
okay. Yeah,
No, we
just
just aren't using gift cards.
Yeah, just so you know, every time we host those influencers and stuff, we always give them a gift card instead of cash, because then I creepily at 9 o'clock at night can like log in and be like, oh, you spent that much money at that workplace? Like, you know, so I can kind of see where they're spending the money as well, because we encourage them to follow the itinerary, but some of them do something different. Then I can call them and be like, well, why? You know, tell me why. I need to understand. Are we selling this in the wrong way, or is there something different? So I agree with you, and I think we can restrict it by zip code, and I agree. I think that's a great
I think
idea.
it should be a Solvang only, so it's not going out to the valley, they stay in Solvang.
What is it, the credit card or?
Yeah, the credit card is our credit card that they're spending money, they can eat here, but the money is generated back into this community and not over to
So
the
they get
hotel.
that ahead of time, okay.
Yeah,
all
they'll
right.
get that ahead of
Yeah.
time, they'll
Yeah.
give it to them as they come in with their hotel stay.
Yeah, we can do it as a room drop.
Yeah,
And on the street, so you're gonna have them on Copenhagen do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we talked the last time. I felt like that was the best place to put them, but especially because the park is under or will be under renovation here shortly. So I think and there's sorry, was that secret?
That's top secret, that's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can explain. We are trying to, and there's actually going to be a council item coming up on the 14th of
Programs.
March with some additional proposals for improvements to Solvang Park. But right now we're trying to just address some of the grass that has been really damaged there. So that will be coming in the near future.
So, and then, I honestly, you know, the town really hates it when we get everything on Copenhagen, like Danny stays. I'd like to see us put one over at the west end, you know, split it up, get everybody, I mean, because they're always down there at the other end, they always say, everything's on Copenhagen in front of you. So I don't know if we can't figure out how to do it.
I'm just spitballing
Not
here.
close, like, not close Copenhagen, if it gets us close, per
Yeah.
se.
If
And
it was
then,
all the
I
way
don't know,
down-
just throw it around.
Well, it was all the way down to Mortensen's.
That's down that far.
Well, like, I'm sure.
Where else are they gonna put it though? They
Bent,
can't-
and all those people down there always complain that it's, it's just you guys are coming in.
Yeah,
Well, if I may, and this is just a spitball, so forgive me if it's inappropriate, but you know, what if we try, and I could work with my team to try and decentralize it, but what if we maybe try and do something at like Atterdag Square, and then something else over, and I think
In all
your
the
office
squares.
has like
Yeah.
a big open courtyard in the middle, and maybe it's almost like we wouldn't necessarily make it like this, but it's almost like the Nice Adventure, like where people are going from area to
Exactly.
area around town to
I
see
think-
it. We could put one in the backyard of the Elroy if it's done by then.
I think that would actually
Yeah.
be really much better,
Yeah.
because I think you could put them, a little bit over, I'm sure the Wilding Museum would love to have it as you're coming into town.
Right,
The Mokes are real popular over across the street there. We could do it in ours, I think
All
we
the
have all
pavilions,
of
yeah.
these different,
squares.
squares that we have, you know, at the corner of the Alisaw where they do, so
Where
I
the
think
bar
there's.
building has a nice.
And some of
courtyard.
them
Right, in
have
there
covered
and up in the
areas,
bar
and it
building.
wouldn't cost you as much to
Yeah.
build
Right.
out,
I really think you
because
should
they're
spread
covered
it out.
areas.
Yeah.
Get people to walk around, I think that's it.
And if they have to
That's-
find it, it's part
Yeah.
of the fun.
Yeah, I can work with our team this week, and my team, Jacob's gonna be producing this, so I'll work with Jacob and we'll identify some spaces. So that we don't violate anything, would it be appropriate that maybe we could have like a Lego subcommittee, folks that I can interface directly with on the TAC? Would that be appropriate, or?
That is a potential, I think, as this discussion progresses to where, but it could be no more than 2 people appointed to subcommittee.
Yeah, I mean, that would be helpful, because then we have that feedback, which, like, the feedback that committee member Beard just shared and committee member Hamburg just shared is great feedback, and like, being able to have that two-way dialogue, I think it's quick, it's snappy, it's nice, and so if it can be done as a subcommittee, I'm happy to do so. If anybody if any 2 folks, I know how busy you all are, if any 2 folks are willing to take that on.
John and I work together.
We'll work with Max on it.
Okay, great, is that acceptable, city manager?
We would just need to have the committee speak whether you would like to, as a
Okay.
majority, appoint this subcommittee, so if you want to take a vote.
So do we need to make a motion for subcommittee for the Lego events?
Is it ad hoc or is it?
Ad hoc subcommittee?
It would be just ad hoc one time
Oh.
for this event, but I would like the committee to agree
Okay.
to
Yeah.
appointment of 2
Sorry.
people.
I would support that, yeah.
So is that a motion?
It's a motion to have John and Max be ad hoc for the Lego
Is there a second?
event.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, everybody.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? No.
Passes 7-0.
Now, do you have a date for this yet?
Yeah.
So we need 30 days from we need about 30 days from the time that you guys say go. So I'm fine to do it the last weekend in March if we can meet like tomorrow to nail these last things and share with you these ideas. And I'm confident, again, I mentioned before, the Solvang Sweetheart tours as well as the candlelight tours, we're able to turn those on very, very quickly and especially with the amount of digital spend we have in there, that goes a very, very, very long way. So, fortunately, you're not Europe, or you're not someplace that people are saving a lot of money for a long time to plan a vacation 8-9 months from now to come to Solvang. In some cases, that's happening, like people are planning to come for Danish days. But what's nice is that we are actually able to influence those decisions like within a 14-day window. So I'm not worried about us not having enough folks coming from this.
I would make sure what events are already happening.
Yeah, I need to give you my calendar to see, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I know we wanted it in the first quarter.
Yeah.
If it bled into the first half of the second quarter, like April, I mean, is 30 days enough? Would 60 days get more people?
No, I think because again, folks are making these decisions relatively quickly. I don't see, even if we're incredibly successful, I don't see this being a first year destination event where people are gonna come from all over the state specifically for this thing. I think it's a hey honey, what do you wanna do this weekend? Oh, did you see this Lego thing in Solvang? Yeah, let's pack the kids up and go for a drive, see if there's a hotel room available. It's one of those decisions, and I think that window is like 14 days. So I think if we talk about it too far in advance, like we're gonna get people who get excited about it, and then they forget to make plans, and then they forget about it.
I gotta get my phone, so I got my
Yeah.
Easter's April 17th.
Right, we could do it either the last weekend in March or the first weekend in April. I wouldn't wanna get too much further into April because I think that the town already has a natural increase. That, you know, I don't wanna, we can have this conversation separately. Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Sorry, there are though a bunch of events in March, so I think if you pushed it into early April, you just wouldn't be competing with as much.
If I would suggest if we could pull up my slide, I had put together kind of a rough draft of what we know is in the works coming up in the events and showed this at council, at the last council meeting, just so that you know what else is occupying our streets.
Or bike ride, yeah. That's that same weekend.
I like putting it in the week in April, like the first weekend in April, because it gives us something to do.
I love
Just
it.
we have Easter on the 17th.
Easter's on the 17th.
Yeah, so you still have a few weeks away for the vacations, everything, but vacation goes on forever now with these.
Yeah, it's already started.
The week
kids.
before and the week after, right?
You guys got it made.
Spoiled.
Weeks.
So we could do the weekend of the 9th and 10th would be fine with me. And it looks like on the draft calendar, that's acceptable.
The 9th and 10th, that's Palm Sunday.
Yeah, I won't do
That makes any difference.
What
The
happened to
9th
the
is
second,
Palm
third?
Sunday. Oh, the 10th is Palm Sunday.
Yeah, we could do second, third as well.
Can we do the second?
Yeah.
I think that would be,
Is
Yes,
this
sir.
a 2-day event? Is it a
Yeah.
1-day event?
Yeah, so what we would
How
encourage,
does it-
because again, our goal is to get people to come in on Friday and stay on Saturday. So we would say, look, Friday is a build day, Saturday is a view day and judge day, and we can talk about how we'll judge it, whether we wanna bring in our own committee to judge,
yeah.
or we can spin up a quick QR judge and let the public do it. And then Sunday is like the awards and announcements, and then go home afternoon on Sunday so that we encourage those multi-night stays.
So we'll have the competition, we'll have the viewing. Will there also be tables with Legos that just anybody can go up and build something? Will that be a
Solid idea.
possibility? Just because I think making it more interactive, especially for kids.
That's a
would be
great idea.
interesting.
and I think
I'll make
Matt,
a
you
note here.
offered the Legos from
I
the,
got the okay from the board, we have boxes of Legos, but they're
Boxes.
small.
Yeah.
There's no big blocks, it's
Yeah,
all
so-
small, I don't know what they need.
Yeah, if Copenhagen's still closed, that might be cool, we could put like a little pop-up on Copenhagen so that we can at least control it. It'll be harder to spread Legos, like for your interactive point, it'll be harder to spread that all over town. But if we do like the interactive part in one other part, I agree, I think that's a great idea. I just made that note so that our team and the subcommittee can come up with a plan for that.
it could be done around the visitor center, Sue agreed, or something like that, because you want people to gather in those kind of areas.
Yeah, and depending on what the status of the park is on that weekend, we can always, you know, if the park is available, we can activate in the park, and then that's, and I don't know if you remember in 2020, on New Year's Day 2020, we brought all those games out and have like kind of a family picnic, and we built that big video wall so that people could watch New Year's at 3 o'clock in Denmark. And there were like 600-700 people out there playing soccer and the Jenga. We had like the big Jenga. So I think if we just did that as Legos, like, and it's not rocket science, right? Like some blankets with Legos on it, and then a couple of people just to make sure that, you know, they're not growing legs. It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Actually, also, would it be possible to do something where we have that Lego build area and we have a competition for kids that doesn't have prize money necessarily, it's just you win and you can take a photo of your Lego creation, so we don't have lots of people taking the Legos and leaving things out. You make something, you take a photo, you submit it, whether it's with a QR code or a site we have for this, and then we do judging on that, so we could have kids.
Yeah.
What do you?
That would be a good idea
Amateur.
for Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we could set it
Right.
up where they're gonna announce the
Yeah.
awards.
What do
We
you-
could set up a table for that?
What do you think, Jamie and Leanna, can we quickly set up some hashtags so that people can hashtag like solving Lego, whatever, and we can then consolidate that and allow it so that we're also getting them like shared on social and it's giving us UGC?
Yeah, we can definitely create an event-specific hashtag to help us track it.
Yeah, so if we could do that, people can take the pictures, regardless of where they're at, they can take their pictures and tag that hashtag, and then we can pull on Sunday from all of those. I'm happy to go wander around town. Maybe Tracy, if you're willing to work with me, we could go around town and just buy some things to put in like a nice little gift basket, and whoever wins just gets like that gift basket of Solvang goodies, you know, some cookies, some pastries, some spices, whatever.
Mhm.
Not wine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and the other thing is, on the awards, I'd like to see them purchased from Laser Viking Design here in Solvang.
Mhm.
We can do anything or buy anything, so we keep our money a little local as
Yeah.
opposed to buying our awards on social.
Yeah, and we've been using like Inklings prints all of our stuff and has for since the day we started here, and Islay, the company that does a lot of our builds and stuff, and all of our AV, they did all the lights for Yule Fest. They're based in Buellton, so we try and use like local staff and local, even the nice folks here, very local.
We actually have a Solvang company that actually makes the awards.
Trophies.
They do it for the high schools, everything, the car shows, and I think that would be a nice little boost for them.
Perfect. And Jacob, if you could make a note of that, that would be great. We'll get some
Can they
trophies
work with
made.
Lego?
What?
Can they make Lego awards?
Well, I think that's the whole thing. Can you use the Lego logo? That's on his deal.
Yeah, we'll figure that
That's a
out.
whole other thing. You
Yeah.
get to use the word Lego. But I think you could say Lego.
Registered
winner.
trademark of Mattel or whoever owns it these days.
Yeah, or I think you can definitely have an award that we had a
Yeah.
solving Lego event, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Totally.
Can we do some little, like, just 2 kids awards? Cause I do think, when Max is saying on Sunday, kids love Legos. It's a competition from,
Yeah, what
like
if-
up to 8 and then like 8 to 14.
What if we
Kids
make
love
it?
Legos, they really do.
What if we make this a little more, Gen Z, where everybody gets a trophy? Sue, I hate to put you on the spot, but what if we make buttons like we did for the Nisei adventure? So everybody who makes a Lego creation, takes a picture of it and uploads, they can come to the visitor center and get a button that says that they, we'll figure out what the button looks like. So everybody gets an award.
Participant pin.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
It's a little Gen Z, but
Come on.
I don't know how
It
much.
works in this situation.
I don't know how much this would cost, but it's very Solvang. Can we give everybody a little Viking minifigure, Lego minifigure, if they submit something? I don't know how that compares in cost.
instead of a pen,
A pin, but a Viking minifigure. It's like
You
that's
can make them all.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll give you I'll give you the
Fine,
Legos.
If I get the Legos, I'll make them. I'll sit there. I'll do it.
yeah. It's funny, we had to make little keychains for a big corporate client at the Giants a couple weeks ago. I literally sat there with a Dremel putting a hole in his head. Okay, cool, yeah, I think that's fine, instead of a button that says I participated, like a little Lego thing. Yeah, and so what we can do is we'll just rejig this budget, we'll take the structure costs down to accommodate, a better award locally. And we'll work with the 2 ad hoc members to do that, if that's cool. Cool beans?
Like it.
Do we need to make a motion?
And then, of course, post-event, we'll provide all of these receipts to the city manager as per our agreement, so you know where all this was spent.
Any other questions, comments? Open to the public for comments?
Thank you. If anybody would like to make a comment from the public, please come up or raise your hand. Seeing no comments. There's no need to, if this is the end of the discussion, there is no,
No
need
action.
to make a motion at this time. We have appointed a subcommittee, so they will work with the consultant on finalizing the, program and budget.
I personally am very excited about this, so thank you. I think it's gonna be fun.
Different.
Yeah, and
So,
different.
Fun and different.
just
Very
to
good.
straighten it out, we did decide the
And the
first
date
to
has
the
been
3rd
settled for
of
April.
April, correct?
April
Yes.
2nd and 3rd, yep.
April
Okay.
2nd, yeah, 2nd.
Well, it starts Friday, the 1st.
Friday, Saturday, and
second?
Sunday.
Correct.
How long does it take them to build this stuff? Can I ask that just out of curiosity?
One of them, the guy needed 3 days, and we're like, we'll give you 10 hours, how about that? So,
I mean, do they get to work 24 hours around?
some of them will. I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
that's-
it depends on and we're talking internally about like themes and like, do we make sure that it all is like Viking themes? Is it like build your best windmill? Is it build your best Viking ship? Like we want to see like what we can do to sort of create like a little bit of baseline. Do we give everybody the exact same Legos to start with? So we're working with that internally to figure out what we're gonna do to sort of make it sporty. so that it's not just the guy that has 200,000 Facebook followers and does this literally for a living, doesn't just show up and blow away the guy that's only got 5,000 followers, and he puts $5,000 in the bucket. So we want it to be competitive, but not too competitive. So our team is kind of having fun talking about like how to do it, but the theme is what we'll come up with first, and then figure out what it is that we want them to build. There's a whole TV show about this. I mean, again, been very deep in the Lego world the last couple of weeks.
Is Legoland at all responsive? Have you talked to them at all?
Not yet. They're not going to be super thrilled about us taking people away from their area, though.
But they're not doing anything this weekend either, are they? Is there a big Lego
They got stuff every
competition?
weekend.
Yeah, there's always
Legoland.
some reason to go to Legoland.
Oh, okay, got it.
Would you like me to stay for the second agenda item?
It's up to you. I think we're probably going to discuss the next agenda item in general, and I can announce what.
I'll just stay in the back.
In case there's any questions. So the next item is review branding design approved by the DRC and make recommendations to the city council for implementation of the branding to city wayfinding and signage. Consider allocating portion of the unallocated funds of $75,000 within the current work scope to further improve the city new logo for application of the logo in various settings for marketing and publishing purposes. So to keep you up to date on where you are, and this is really a design review committee area of expertise and their oversight when it comes to signage. So if we could pull up my screen, it's not in your agenda packets, but I just wanted to show you what's been transpiring with the design review committee and where they are currently in terms of approving the direction with the branding and the signage. So this was presented to the DRC a few times. As you remember, we had brought the branding design to you at some point to get your general comments, and you were interested in getting some additional signs, especially at the entrances of the into the village, into the city. And you also had some comments about looking at the color of blue. So the team of designers with Cox and Marvel have been working on variations of the blue and have had, the design review committee has reviewed this presentation a couple of times and has made a lot of different comments. So this is where we landed. I'll kind of just walk you through what they, so the first obviously is the logo that was developed by René Perskov, and this is the reverse version of it, white on blue. These are the general blue and red colors that were introduced. This is the actual logo in its full form here on the left. And then what the DRC has been reviewing is different tints. And I wonder if I have the right. Oh. No, so hold on, let me just make sure. Oh, there you go. So these were the latest versions of the blue. They may seem to be kind of very similar to each other. And obviously they also look somewhat different depending on the type of material that you're looking at those. If you look at them in print, they will look a little bit different. If you look at them on different screens, they may display a little bit different. But these blues will be applied to different applications that will be used for marketing purposes and even just city purposes to give us that consistent brand. So the DRC, who have some designers by professional on their team, have looked at different options of the blue, and what they picked out was option in the middle over there, new option 2, and it has an actual color with it. It's the PMS 2748C. So that would be the actual color that would appear on all of the signage that may be a project going forward for the city of Solvang. And they also have looked at different versions of that Cox and Marvel had prepared of different signs that might be the style that would be appropriate for the city of Solvang. So these are the few options that They presented to the DRC, and the DRC preferred a combination of a family like you're looking right here, and then this would be another version of that.
Are those actual items we're
So-
looking at?
So these are not items these are conceptual. So
Okay.
DRC, at first where we started, there was a lot more modern feel to it. The DRC gave a lot of feedback of more wood color, something that speaks Solvang, but at the same time, it doesn't distract from all the actual architecture. So that's kind of where, this is something that the DRC has approved unanimously as something that they would like to see going forward. And that concluded the work scope under the existing contract that Cox and Marvel was engaged with us to develop this branding strategy and some ideas for signage for the future. So my question was to this committee, you have set a budget for Cox and Marvel to work with us through July 31 of 2022.
I thought it was June.
It's actually been extended to July by the city council.
Okay, I saw that.
So their current contract is through July 31. There's $75,000 there that's not allocated to anything. It was, there was some ideas of an additional event, maybe some other ideas. So I was wondering if this committee would like to consider allocating some of that money to kind of polish off this effort. Which the one thing that both Cox and Marvel team and the DRC commented on is that this logo could use a little bit of a cleanup so that it would be better displayed in different mediums, in different settings. Some of the problems we've seen with this logo is that some of this really fine detail doesn't always pop through as well. So the recommendation from the DRC is to do some additional work to just clean up the logo itself. Not change the theme of it, not change the colors again, but just make it more usable for a different print. So I just wanted to get this committee's recommendation, whether that is something that you feel would be appropriate as an item for tourism improvement to continue to allocate some money towards this effort.
It'd be worth, I think, seeing a proposal or an estimate cost from them. I mean, if we feel it would be interesting to know what they think the cost is.
Yeah, because city wayfinding signs and signage is different than the new logo, so I think if they brought back a budget on both of those to see, I think you're right. I mean, that's a big difference. City wayfinding signs and signage is different than improving the new logo, and what is it gonna cost?
Right, well, I think the wayfinding is a much bigger project, and I'm not even talking about that yet, and that wouldn't necessarily, I think that would be a big enough project to be bid out to see who would be actually constructing those signs. What we are talking about here is the design element of it, and we have this conceptual ideas now, but we just want to see if we want to just really polish all the logo so that if the city moves forward with wayfinding, we already have a ready-to-go product or a logo that can be applied.
So this logo on the top of our committee agenda is not
Correct.
the same as the logo up on that you just showed us?
It's the same.
Well, it's missing a line of something. I can't read what was up on the wall either. There's 2 lines below Solvang.
Right, so
Isn't there,
so
or is that?
the problem is that this Danish capital of America is hard to read. So some of the ideas that came in the DRC meeting was to, make it a little bit longer, a little bit bolder, so it's more readable. And some of it is also these, fine lines on the windmill itself that if they were brought together a little bit more, made bolder, that would come through more clean in different publications.
And they should be able to provide brand marks that can be used for different things, so.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we should just know what the costs are, right? But I think it's worth exploring.
And is that $75,000 something that you would explore this to, or are you still hoping to have another event or to apply that money?
Is that Danish days money?
The Danish days is a separate conversation.
Okay.
I come
Well,
from a
that's
marketing
different.
background, and I think branding's very important. So
Mhm.
if this is a difficult logo and brand mark that's been used, it's probably worthwhile to look at kind of making it user-friendly and easier on the eyes and recognizable. But
Like
that's
that up
my
there.
opinion.
How much have we spent? Can we ask? Do we know, how much have we spent already on that?
On this, that was in your last, it was in the original contract, I wanna say 35,000.
Yeah, I think that was, the amount was 35,000.
So, to get, what do you want from us right now? You only want us to find out, to approve or suggest changing this logo, right? Not have anything to do with advertising.
So what I'm asking this committee for, you have under, you're the advisory committee to the city council on all, spending of money for tourism. You have in current contract, there is a $75,000 that's just kind of sitting there without a plan at this point. So I was wondering if this kind of scope of work, to finalize the work on the logo.
So we need to spend additional money on this logo is what you're saying right now. You wanna know if we want to spend additional money out of that 75,000 on changing this logo so it's more readable.
Correct. Perfect.
Okay.
But it's the additional money, 5,000 or 75,000?
But
So I need to
See?
work a little bit more with Cogs and Marvel. I have a really rough estimate from them of $25,000 right now. We could reach out to any graphic designer as well, if we wanted to finalize that work.
Yeah, I think we should open it up to other graphic designers, because I do think we should look at maybe simplifying the logo, but that price point really seems high. And maybe we could have a rendition of the logo without Danish Capital of America, one with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I really like this slogan, but having it for some places where you don't wanna have all that wordiness, especially if we're doing wood carvings on wayfinding signage, I would imagine that adds a lot of cost in the future if we have to carve extra wording onto everything.
I don't think they're carving it in wood, are they?
Well, it looked like on the
Well,
one
that's
proposal.
wood looking.
It's wood looking, so it would
Looking,
be probably,
Oh, plastic.
applied by some
Okay.
kind of laser technology or.
But just having a simpler version, even for something like this, where it would be great to have a simple logo, because it's a small use of the logo, having options for it.
How about this? It's a brand. Yeah. Having that brand is simple.
So,
one, do we feel that this is money we want to invest towards this? Do we support that idea?
I'm
You have to say a
troubled that
number.
we're paying more money to get.
Well, I
something
don't
in.
wanna just say yes, it's worth, I would like to see proposals of what we're gonna spend. I don't think we should just say yes and not know exactly how much we're spending.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Up
worth.
in-
Well, we can say how much we're gonna spend.
Yeah, it's
We
up and
10,000, but
including-
I'm
But I-
concerned that we've already paid for this and
Yeah.
that it's not.
We've already paid $35,000 in the budget that we got in October. We were given October 14th.
Right.
And we spent $35,000 already on this according to what has been given
Yeah,
to
right.
us.
And all the other logos stuff, yeah.
That's like, in the eyes of our council members, we should be acting more prudent.
And just to remind you that the logo itself was free, developed by one of the
Right.
business members. So we just taken something that was given to us for free and deciding whether, the city wants to invest a little bit more money into, making it more user friendly.
So what was the 35,000 spent on
35 it was, it said branding, it was already spent on the 14th of October, that was given to us in our packet. So that's what it said, 35 was already spent,
on branding?
that's what it says.
Scott, can we ask Scott? You did- Can we,
You can ask Scott and the team about the general, I wouldn't get into.
No. I'm, Scott, your team helped create this?
No.
What did you? Okay,
So Scott's team didn't create the logo, Scott's team created the branding
All the other
strategy that I
stuff.
had on the screen. So they took the logo, applied it to different,
so let's go back to what's his name and have him modify this.
I can see if that's possible.
We tell him, I can't believe the branding or the other board of the
Design review committee?
design review committee didn't say that too. I mean, is he on that design review?
No,
He
he's not.
moved himself.
You move, I think we asked him to fix it up, tell him what we want. I wouldn't, if he gave it to us for free, I think he could fix it for free. a
So
little.
if I may suggest maybe
Right.
to move things forward, if you think that it's worth exploring to continue to tweak this logo and make it better for all applications, I can of course ask Renee Periscoff if he would be willing to do more work for us without charge. And plus, we can also get some quotes for scope of work and come back to you at the next TAC meeting.
I think it's worth exploring. Any other comments?
No, I think it's worth exploring. but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we
I mean,
should.
if they're not happy, I don't understand why Rennie's not going, well, let's fix it then. But
Okay, so is there a
do we
proposal?
need to,
So let's make a motion, I make a motion to, and I don't know his name, but to see if he can still work and make tweaks to the revision, as well as get scope of work for a refresh of the logo.
I'll second that.
Does this include that 75 or no? We're not agreeing to the 75 being spent?
No.
No.
Okay.
We're not agreeing to spending any money, just
Correct.
getting scopes of work.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did I hear all 7?
No?
Anybody opposed?
No, I'm not opposed, I'm an aye.
Okay.
So
Didn't see you move.
I was reading, I'm sorry.
it passes 7-0. Okay. So at this point, I think we are all set with Crags and Marvel team, and we're moving on to the next item, which is receipt of subcommittee recommendations for marketing services scope of work and developing recommendations to City Council for issuance of request of proposals. So as you would recall, at last meeting, you had appointed Cheryl Schallenberger and Tracy Beard as subcommittee to work on development of a scope of RFP, as well as to look at, I believe, continue to explore options to, or looking whether SCVB was still something that could be revived. Your recommendation was taken to the City Council, and the City Council did not move forward with directing staff to continue to work on SCVB as an organization, but they did direct staff to come back to the TAC to continue to work on scope of work for request of proposals for marketing services going forward after July 31 of 2022. So the subcommittee have met, and at this point I'll hand it over to members of the subcommittee to present their recommendations.
I'll let you start.
You want me to start?
Yeah, I'll let you start.
Okay, feel free to interrupt me if I get something.
By the
wrong.
way, nice work. Everything looks great on these.
Oh,
I went
good.
through them. It was just one little comment I had, but we'll
Okay.
get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, so we had a really in-length conversation about kind of from what, city council's saying, what I think this committee is saying, and it sounds that there is a need to have someone feet on the ground, answer the phone. That was the big thing, someone to answer the phone, and works closely with the city as well as event promoters. So, and it sounds like the CVB might not be the correct direction that is in need right now. So whether it's a city staff member or a contractor within the city is kind of what we've left open-ended. So with that, we have a job description that we've kind of roughly put together. And then this person would then, be a liaison with the city, working with the city manager and event promoters for tourism, marketing, and events, and then have the RFP in place. once the person's in place, correct, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
kind of what we came up with, but yes.
Right, and then we took 5 proposals throughout the California that did 50% or more within their TOT, and we looked at all of their proposals, their marketing proposals, and looked at what their scope of work was. And many of them sent us their contracts, which I have. Cheryl and I shared, and Lizina, and we worked where we wanted to call a tourism marketing media proposal, is the word we kind of used. And as you see, there was a very fine line, scope of work that we felt that needed to be done. That was talked about was accounting, transparency on accounting, which we're starting to get now. And that was the biggest of showing your bills, your statements, just like a business contractor does in the building trade, that you're a 10% markup, and you show all your 1099s at the end of the job, and that you know what the money is spent. We worked on the scope of work that businesses, that we needed for the tourism industry, the general scope of work, the strategies, the creative production, the planning, the content, the promotion. We tried to take the best from every contract that we saw. We were in a 3-hour meeting one evening, and Cheryl and I, we were back and forth on things. And I will also say Lisa Mesa, who has very significant, worked at the Staples Center down in Los Angeles, is a business owner here. She also helped us work on the contract. She's written many contracts and signed many contracts, and went through and helped us look at what we were all looking for, and we all kind of felt like we knew events. Events is different than what we call marketing. And we looked at what we wanted for reporting, analysis, the research, what the compensation and the qualifications should be, what each proposal should intake, and we had proposals to look at so we knew what they were. Who were they hiring? So that was important. Who were they gonna hire as their subcontractor team? And evaluate what was done. So you can see here, and we just kind of went through, these can be done pretty quickly. Every city right now, so you know, up and down the coast is putting the marketing plan out for April 1st to be signed by July 1st. So most all of them are putting out their RFPs this month. We talked to many of them, they're putting out their scope of work for April 1st, and they expect to get them back from marketing organizations to be ready by July 1st, and it's not a short time. This is how the business works. And we really did go through this, and you all had some concern how long it was, and so we put the dates down. 2 other companies do this right on the coast. Pismo Beach does it, and theirs is going to contract with their city council for a stamp of approval to put the RFP out for April 1st. And, our effective date would be July 1st, or what do you call August 1st, because Cogs and Marble, and they may receive the contract again or they may not. But the dates are within the possibilities. And they scored it based on this. A couple companies scored their criteria based on these things, so we put the scoring in to kind of help out. Where does that go? So the last page was the scoring. So I hope we did a good job and you liked, and I really want to thank Lisa Mesa for her input and working with Cheryl. It was a very easy working, and Zena helping guide us in the direction.
That's great work.
That is great work.
The only thing I saw was the Ulafest committee. I don't think you're gonna get lucky to do that.
We
but that's-
actually have a lot of, there is a lot of community wanting to have a Yule Fest committee and have more involvement and hire, and let me say this, hire a event company to do it, but they really feel like that this organization needs to help, and it may be the organization with community people taking more leadership and ownership in Yule Fest.
Well, I had a lot of people that loved what was happening the last 2 years. I had a lot of comments on how well they did. So I'd like to know who the people that did like it, so.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
No, tell me. I'd like to know, because I thought they did a great job, and there
it's
was
just a
nothing
back
wrong
and
with it. Why-
forth, it's a
why
back
break
and
the-
forth, because,
Why bust the
because-
pipe when it's working?
I must admit.
because it's city money being used, and it's always done on an RFP, and
No, I
that is
think there's
just
another
how.
issue, and I don't wanna stay here at the table.
So-
I just think we need to keep it fair.
going with this?
The question I have-
I was disappointed with last year's Christmas compared to the year before,
Correct, I was too.
which was huge.
But so if you took a survey, I do think, that is what we heard.
But it was a better Christmas last year than it was the year before, I can
Right.
say that.
I was there.
But there was a lot more people in town for
This
the
Christmas.
There this
two
Christmas.
Christmases ago, for the
Yeah.
drone fest. The
I
drone
think
flight.
2019 Christmas
That
was
was
different
huge.
than 2020
Right.
Christmas and
Anyways.
2021. You can argue it, but this is what we came up with to help the
Yeah.
product and move it along. It doesn't mean that it just doesn't go under one factor anymore, that's all.
What is this reduced annual budget for marketing of $300,000 a year?
Yeah, that's the question.
Because a lot of your money was spent on, when you looked at Tracy's budget, which I do have here, when you look at the budget of the CBB, a lot of it was spent on labor, it was spent on going to, out of the country, going to trade shows, things of that nature. This is really a marketing contract budget. We took out the whole event, what we spend on events. We took everything out. This is the marketing piece. This is the real marketing piece, correct? Is what we wanna say.
So where,
Yeah, where's the part about going somewhere out of the country?
yeah, and who's spending that?
Yeah.
No, this is where we were prior to the previous, we went through all the budget money of how different things, a lot of it was spent event.
Right.
So if you take 69 times 4, the events, and what was spent, that's the money that was pulled out of this contract, was the event portion.
So I think there was discussions that this role shouldn't necessarily be producing events. It was the one event from the city would be Yule.
No, I
Yule
totally
Fest.
agree, I
Yeah.
totally agree with
Okay.
that, yeah. But what about going outside to sea and
Doing
get
the
people to
trenches,
going
right.
out and digging, doing the hard digging?
I
Where
mean,
that
that is in the job description.
Yeah, but where's that money in the
That,
budget?
that's a great question.
Okay,
Yeah, I was
so I
gonna
just
say
want, I
the
wanna
same.
know that, because I think that
Yeah,
was, that
I
had a
thought
lot.
reducing the market, that seemed odd to me, and I wanted an explanation,
That's
but that
that's
doesn't, I mean, I still think,
I don't want it to be
we still have
squashed.
those issues.
It
I mean,
needs
I
to be
think-
in there.
If I could chime in on the budgeting part,
Please
because I
do.
was taking
Please.
notes of the subcommittee. I think what you see here is that the subcommittee is basically separated the scopes of work within what's right now is an overarching scope of work that's called marketing, but it actually encompasses within itself quite distinct scopes of work. And so the recommendation from subcommittee is to separate those out. So your events permitting, for example, which is inherently a regulatory function where the city by any means ends up having to be involved quite extensively in order to permit them, is separated out as a totally different scope of just staying with the city. They separated the local marketing liaison as separate and distinct from marketing. So it's a local person, whether it's an employee or it's a contractor, but it's a separate contract of somebody being here working boots on the ground. The marketing then becomes just the marketing piece of it, which is your, it's outlined rather well. If you look at the
Yeah.
RFP scope,
Right.
that's what marketing
Right,
is.
right.
And that can be done by
Anybody,
any
right.
marketing firm. So with that, the budget was reduced to approximately 300,000 towards just that marketing piece, whereas another additional up to 100 would go towards the local coordinator.
Payroll,
Right,
okay,
so that's 400,000.
Right.
And then you still have $200,000 left
okay,
to
well,
be at the current level
Okay.
that you
That
can,
explains.
we didn't see that anywhere,
Yeah.
so that makes sense then. I just
That's
thought,
what it
because
did.
there
This is the
are,
whole enchilada right here, so it isn't.
okay, well, then I mean, because that wasn't in here anywhere, was it?
I
The
think
other
you're.
200 or more, was it, ladies?
You can clarify that if that's what you would like,
Right,
because the
we
next.
were just asked to put a marketing plan budget, and we did that based on the scope of work for all places that had separate tourism, exactly, that had separate tourism differently, and this is what they spent. So there are different
Well,
organizations that,
but the marketing local events coordinator had coordinated a trade show program. right, in their
Correct, but
duties.
that would come under a different scope of money. We tried to, you
Okay,
know,
well, that's where we were worried,
Yeah,
that,
that's gonna be
that scope
like-
of money, where is that coming from? But
Yeah.
if you say it's coming from somewhere else, as long as it's,
So that we part of possibly the 300 that's still
So
there.
we'll probably be back up to 600,000,
no, more than.
more than that.
No, it would be more, so if you agree that
Like
about
it.
300 goes to this marketing scope, about 100 goes towards the local marketing coordinator, to get back to the budget as a ceiling to where you are, you would still have $200,000 left, and you could consider whether you want, obviously the Yule Fest may have some kind of expenditure,
Oh, that's good.
and then you can,
Okay, well,
Okay,
that makes
okay,
sense,
okay.
but so,
Okay.
Yeah,
will those expenditures be a line item budget at the city council, like you said, we're trying to keep them out of it, we're trying to bring that all back to us, right? And they don't want it, they've got plenty of things to do with water and power.
so this committee would still continue to be the advisory committee that works closely with marketing, would work closely with the marketing coordinator, whichever way that's structured. And then, you know, the trade shows and whatnot expenditure, depending on what the direction is at the end. If it's a city employee, obviously we would book it into our
Okay,
city
okay.
budget. If it's a contractor, we would have to book some of that into
Okay.
the contractor budget.
Well,
But it would still
What-
be in.
then that's a little.
what recommendation do you want us to make tonight?
So the recommendation that I would need, the direction from city council was to come back to you and get your recommendation on the scope of work for an RFP. I think the recommendation that the subcommittee came up with was clarifying, you know, what goes into which scope of work. So if this committee is in agreement with the subcommittee's recommendation, yes, Alex?
I wanted to ask one question about, will the spending on social media be reduced at all, or is that up to the contractor to decide how much they allocate out of that 300,000 for social media?
I think we felt this room had the right to help the contractor decide how much money to spend, just like what we're seeing in proposed budgets.
So you're saying variable?
Yeah.
Be variable?
Well,
Yeah, but I think how the money's spent comes from this room.
True, but
Yes,
how much, what I'm saying is up or down, we will make that decision.
correct.
Yeah, so
Good.
by saying, passing this along to the city council now, we're not making any motion on specific numbers related
No,
to
you're
that.
not. You're only recommending, if you agree with the subcommittee's recommendation, you're just recommending moving forward with this, issuing this scope of work as the request for proposals, pursuing a local coordinator, and you can comment whether you have a preference on how that's structured. And then basically enhancing the city's presence in the regulatory realm of events permitting.
So is there really two motions then, isn't there? for the-
It can
I was
al-
gonna make a motion that we pass this forward to the city council as is. I like all of the,
And just
the
to
work you guys
clarify, when and if the RFP is issued, we will get the RFP results, and this committee would get to be part of the selection process of that contractor.
Excellent.
yeah. So I'll make the motion that we push these items forward, whatever you wanna call them, marketing, all the various items you guys, the subcommittee came up with.
Okay, and I second it.
Everybody in favor?
We discuss.
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
Alright. On to committee member comments. Should we start with you, Max?
No, I said it, you guys did a great job on putting those RFPs together in the marketing program.
Yeah,
I
it was
like
a lot of
it.
work.
Very good, yeah, absolutely, really appreciate the hard work, and Lisa as well, too. And other than my one little comment about Yule Fest, I think we're doing a good job.
Great. Kim?
Thank you again, that was wonderfully done, well done, hard work.
Okay.
Thank you, glad to participate and whatever I can to help.
Great.
Yeah,
And welcome.
Welcome, yeah,
Yeah.
good, welcome, David.
I do not have any.
Yeah, thank you guys for the, you guys put forward, appreciate it.
Comments, thank you for accepting as presented.
I'm looking forward to the Lego. This is a new thing for me to experience. It's gonna be fun. I think it's what in my era, your dad and I would have probably, what are they talking about? Yeah, this is great.
From staff, just thank you for all the great work of the RFP and moving that forward. Looking forward to keeping that.
Cheryl and
going.
Tracy, thank you.
And I'll connect, speaking of the leg agreement, I'll connect with the subcommittee in Parks and Marble and we'll get that going.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, adjourned at 5:07.
Wow.
Next time I'll take the job
45 minutes
description.